Hey, welcome back to Reality, Goodness, and Work. In our last video, we took a sort of simple functional look at the Reality, Goodness, and Work framework. And in this video, I want to be a little more exact about what reality, goodness, and work mean and where it comes from. So firstly, reality isn't necessarily about a claim to action and pursuit of reality. It's more about an admission that anything nonsensical or non-real is sort of irrelevant. It is, in the previous video I was explaining everything sort of from the bottom of the framework, from a place of should, right? As though you should lean towards reality and should figure out goodness. All of that is sort of a goodness claim, right? But the framework comes out of recognizing that anything non-real can't possibly have any meaning or value. And then the second part, which I call goodness, is actually more so just the fundamental driving question, at least for me, and I know this is a moral claim, but what I think all people should be asking, which is what should we be thinking, doing, saying, right? It's like, oh, okay, I'm here, I exist, now what? So the title goodness is a little misleading. It can be doubly misleading. Firstly, it doesn't mean any particular dogma or even that you need to be good and not evil. Although we could pick that apart in another video. What it really means is now that we have recognized that there is existence, that we're here and alive and able to take action, or at least think, what should we think? So that part two is more of the acknowledgement and propensity for wanting to understand ought and should. It's not necessarily exactly a moral or ethical claim, although I think they're sort of one and the same at this point. We don't need to pull those apart at this point. And then work, I also distorted in the previous video to mean sort of taking action in self or the world, but frankly, the very exercise of acknowledging that we exist and then wondering what we should do is a sort of action. It is the beginning of movement, of effort and change. So that is already work itself having begun. So again, this reality, goodness, and work framework is firstly more of an ontological statement, and only secondly a claim about its own goodness. And the previous video was sort of speaking of this reality, goodness, and work system more from goodness and work levels, the sort of the should levels of taking action. And it really birthed out of, to me, more fundamental questions of what is. Something is. There is realness. We also have the capacity for nonsensical, pointless considerations or bases for action. There's also inherent preferences to being alive. For example, we all tend to dislike pain, so we have at least a fundamental map of what we as an individual would prefer, and the mere process of considering or noticing or thinking any of this at all, even if we don't call it effortful human level work, it is still the system of you doing work, producing recognition, so on and so forth. So it's an observation of what is real. And so it works on multiple levels, and it's part of the beauty of the system to me, and all a testament to that elegance to me is a sort of testament to its truth, its accuracy, its